Treasurer Darcy Bannerman.
Present.
I guess I can read through the minutes.
Motion to approve.
Aye. Okay. This month, the, everybody didn't get their utility bill at the same time. Closest I can narrow it down is because of the post. So wondering what to do as far as late fees. I mean, they just again, what are our options? Can we just suspend them for this month or?
The first due in January.
Yeah, I think when we talked to Jewel, I talked to Jewel about this and he said that, you know, that's fine. I mean, as long as it's not for a failure to pay or anything like that, you know, late fees based on the post. So if I'm understanding it correctly, people did not receive their bills in a timely manner.
Correct.
So
Until some of them until after.
got it. Yeah. So yes, that's perfectly.
Would it be a blanket for all of them or just those who receive them? There's probably no clear, easy way to
There's no way to
tell.
No. Yeah.
I didn't know if we had post
They-
stamps
they-
or post
anybody-
dates.
Yeah, anybody unpaid, that just goes on, so we
Sure,
would not know
sure.
who got their bill, who didn't get their
Okay.
bill.
So if somebody was running behind, they just get hacked this month. Merry Christmas.
Yeah, something to monitor in the future for sure.
Outstanding balances would still carry over and that's different. If there's unpaid bills, we'll still handle that, but these are just for late fees.
Yep, and you can, you know, if you make a motion for this, I would recommend you make it for this month only, so it's clear moving forward.
I'll make a motion to waive the late fees for December's bills due in January. This month only.
I'll second that. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay. Committed stormwater bills from September. 2021. Do we have an update?
Sure.
Okay.
They went out on the bills that just went out last week, so, and the last of the letters went out today, so it's all out there and resolved and just waiting for people to make their payments.
Have you got called with any questions or anything?
Oh, not yet.
I know it was extra work, so thank you. We're gonna have errors sometimes. We just have to fix them. I feel like the letter helped with that. I did have somebody reach out to me and say they got a letter. They appreciated that. So,
Okay.
So you know, they,
Okay, thank you.
Billing statements. Oh, that was
Yeah.
on here twice.
You jumped that one, or yeah, it's on here twice.
Okay.
We took care of that.
The Donahue contract for wastewater. Yeah, it's wastewater. They have agreed to Jules' guidelines for the contract. So,
The 10% on subcontractor work was removed, so legal now recommends that it's adopted to by the board works.
oh, okay. We got last month. We gave them permission to sign,
So-
so it's different.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
thought we did.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I know. That's what Jewel and I were talking about this morning too. I think last month we might not have seen the contract, so now we've seen it and it has removed that. I think they had verbally called and said that it would be removed, so.
I thought we voted last meeting
We
to,
did. We voted.
Okay.
and Todd
That
was
would be
gonna sign
okay.
it.
Okay.
So,
if you need a reassurance vote, we can do it again.
No, I think that's okay.
Okay.
That was our recollection too. so.
Okay, good.
so we voted that Todd could sign it with the
With-
10% was taken.
Yes, and it, yes.
So can he not
So now-
normally sign it?
Well, it's a contract, so it typically has to go before the board of works. Yeah. Once the board of works, yeah, once the board of works is created, that contracting authority goes to you.
And I guess I wasn't crystal clear on that, so, all contracts have to go through Board of Works. They can't be signed by department heads.
That's correct, yes.
But unless we make a case like we did for that say, Darcy could, or, you know, Dave Schmidt can sign.
Yeah, because sorry, I'm so sorry, I
No,
cut
it's
you
okay.
off. So
No.
it came before the board of works and then, pending and taking a red line out here and there. That's kind of a scenario where the board of works has seen it, they flag something and then they say, okay, mayor, once you see it and it has that red line out, then, you can sign it. So,
Okay.
yeah.
I'm pretty sure I'm not the only one confused by that, because I'm not sure that's the way it's always been done, and not just in this administration in prior years, right?
Yes, yeah, board of works needs to see all contracts.
And once we approve it, then whatever signatory line is on there, say it's the mayor. Then they can sign after it's came and had its
Yes.
review and approval.
Yeah.
And or some of them are simple enough, they don't really need full legal review, but the more complicated ones we do typically send to you guys for.
Yes, and that's why sometimes in your motions, it's, we approve pending legal review, and that's when we might find a red line here and there, we can talk through it, and then somebody can be authorized to sign it once that is revised to reflect what legal recommends.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course.
Police pursuit policy. Go ahead.
I was just gonna have him sign while you talk, sorry.
Since we've last updated our emergency vehicle operations policy, the state has also come out with a minimum standards for pursuit policy. We're bound by both of them. So what you have before you is a revision to our emergency vehicle operations policy that incorporates the state policy into it. And also states that if the state were to make any changes to this document, they're automatically incorporated and approved so that we don't have to come back each time.
Okay.
So we're bound by this policy. The revision in front of you just includes it. And then also includes any future changes to it.
That it's what you just were handed out is a little bit different than what you received over the weekend. We went through it. We had largely non-substantive changes, just made sure that the language tracked exactly with the state statute. So legal has looked at it and we recommend its adoption.
Does that need a vote tonight? Make a motion to approve the emergency vehicle operations policy, the police pursuit policy as presented by the chief.
Second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Thank you.
Thank you, chief.
Have anything else?
I do have questions.
Okay.
Okay, I have different questions. They just not really on one thing, but people have reached out and asked me questions. So I'm trying to bring them and get them answered for people. So who is in charge of putting our stuff online for people to watch? Like our videos, is that the clerk or do we have an IT person?
So I create the links,
Okay,
I give them to Rachel, and she'll put them on the website.
okay,
And then like right now, I'm streaming and recording it through the live stream portion on the website. And then tomorrow morning, I'll upload the recorded video to the city's YouTube channel.
okay. So they can't watch it live through YouTube, but they can watch it live through the,
There's a live link on the city website.
okay. Somebody said that they had to put their email in order to, can we bypass that?
No, that's for security, so we're not botted or crashed, like hacked.
Well, I've had somebody reach out that says they don't have an email.
Can we do that live on YouTube also?
I would have to have IT set it up differently than how we're set up.
Could we have them take the live link from YouTube and put it on the city? And somebody said.
The
that
live
they
link is on the city website.
were, yeah, but not through YouTube, so they needed their email. And somebody made the comment, they don't think they should have to put their email in to watch. So I don't know.
Yeah, there's no requirement under the state statute that you need an email. So, I would recommend that it is open and there's no, login process. That way there's no accessibility issues for someone who maybe doesn't have an email address.
But you're saying it was a safety concern, Darcy, is that right?
Yeah, our IT company set it up that way. Our IT consultant set it up that way on purpose. I just follow their advice.
I understand. I just.
I'm not IT. That is beyond outside of me.
I'm extremely challenged with technology. So do you think you could ask them about removing that and if there's another way to do safety?
I can.
There is that accessibility thing. I'm glad you brought that up, because now we have to, for everything we do, whether it's a city building or anything online, it's got to meet all the new accessibility standards. And we might have to check and see that IT might not even understood that and known that you can't have steps X, Y, Z.
They've set up other communities just like us.
Yeah.
We're not the only community set up like
Right,
us.
but we may need to have them look at that.
I'm not excusing it, just,
No, I mean, there may be some other ways so that we don't get, when they get hacked, what they do is like, they'll have 1,000 fake accounts sign in, try to crash the site. And then your stream goes dead. And they try to crash your live stream. So I get their
or they
intent.
take it. They actually like pirate it.
Right. So as long as we have something in place that it doesn't take 32 steps to get to the live.
Yeah.
I mean, I couldn't find that either, but it was, when you're on the website, if you're on your phone, you have to actually swipe
Mhm.
the scroller screen over to get to the correct page, and then the link was there. And it took a minute. I had to put my email in and I had to do all the things too. And I thought,
I mean,
When I
it didn't
tried-
save me a thing because I have to do it on my phone
Yeah.
and my tablet and the, it
Well,
would save me a thing too.
I know when I got on and tried to find it, I couldn't find it. So it's not easy to find. So even if we had a big red button that said watch live or
live stream.
live stream.
It says live stream.
Well, when I got on and I looked, I finally found, when I went down through, I found a pay utility bill. And there were these two arrows, but I didn't know what the arrows were. Again, I'm not very techy. So when I was afraid if I clicked them, I was gonna get ads. Well, when I clicked it, then I could see
Yeah.
pay utility, watch live. I could see that, but I didn't know what the arrows were. And I'm pretty sure I'm the only one. But I just thought if we can make it easy, because I've had a few people ask me about that. And I guess I'm jumping around. Darcy, I wanted to check in again on the budget reports to the department heads.
I got some out, but not all of them, with being since our last meeting. I have not got
Do
everybody
you
out
know
yet.
when to expect those to?
Should be hopefully, well, I got two days of out of office meetings this week. Hopefully I can get them by the end of the week. If not, it'll be early next week.
Okay. And, I've not heard if they closed on the trailer park. And I know that you're not, like, that's not your job to track that, but have you received the check? You haven't, we haven't got paid on that yet. Well, that was gonna be how I figured out if they closed or not, if we got the check. So, we could check with on that.
I did send out an email this afternoon. I just haven't heard back. There's an attorney at Taft who's handling it. So last I had heard, end of January was the anticipated closing, but closings shift all the time. So I haven't heard further, but at the next Board of Works meeting, hopefully I'll have an update from them.
Okay. And then along with that, I've had a couple of people ask me about the receivership because we had filed for receivership and for the trailer court, and then it didn't get filed. And they were wondering why it didn't get filed. So I had checked with the attorneys on that, and they said it didn't get filed because when it was time to file it, they had gotten an offer at the trailer court. So then if we went ahead and did the receivership, then it was gonna slow up financially.
Yeah, and also it's distinct. So a receivership would make sure that the funds were paying the bills, which was a big problem. But I mean, then there was a sale is distinct. So even if we had gone forward with the receivership, the sale still could have occurred. And so I think that's where Jewel and I were like, we could go ahead and do the receivership, but you're going to be under new ownership. And, we had the new owners who came to the public meeting and talked about how they were going to rehabilitate. So they're distinct procedures. I mean, and I talked to Julie, he's like, I mean, we can go ahead and file the receivership, but at this point, they have a deal that's moving. It doesn't make much sense financially for the city at this point when you have new owners who are coming in. Like, to spend the money and get a receivership and then change of hands for new owners, you might not need a receivership with your new owner. So if it's two distinct processes, but the receivership was something we've contemplated before.
And I
new
felt like there was a
buyers.
little time between that, and I think that's why they asked the question. But it's probably because you guys knew about the sale before we did.
Yeah, exactly.
And, we had a lot of discussion the last time about the utility office and everything being out of date. And I was just wondering if we could investigate some, options for the utility office. As far as maybe like, consulting or changing the billing, or the girls are really having a hard time with billing. We even got an email on the bills might go out late because they did these reports, and I don't know, it seems like it's very overwhelming. There's a lot going on there. And maybe it's because our equipment, I'm guessing, is outdated but, I
This
just,
month it was also, we put in everything to bill for the stormwater billing that you asked for.
Mhm.
And it was not compliant with the e-billing and e-collection component of the software edition, which is a totally separate vendor. So we had to take everything back out, manually put it back in a different way so that it would be compliant with all the softwares before it could go out. And then running-
It's taken so long.
And then running the reports, and then what you guys don't know, so like, there was 2 days last week, my whole team was sick. I was party of one running that joint over there, so
Okay.
we've had a lot of sickness with them being so close together. They're not socially, which I mean, I know we're not in the pandemic anymore, but they're on top of each other, and when one gets sick, they all get sick.
Well, and I understand that. We appreciate all the extra work. I know it has been a lot, but I thought maybe if you guys could investigate some options for us and let us know the next meeting, would that be okay?
Yeah, absolutely. I know, Joel has a list of consultants that he's used in the past, so, we can gather some names for the board to consider and discuss.
Well, I mean, it even seems like even with these contracts and different things, we may have been doing things differently than maybe we should. But it's been done like that for so many years, not necessarily even under this administration here. So if we could just get it going in the right direction.
Yeah.
And get our account back to where it needs to be.
No, absolutely.
I think that's it.
Next meeting will be February 17th, 5:30.
Is there no public speaking for Board of Works?
Adjourn.
Move to adjourn.
Is February 17th.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Look at your horse and maybe we can talk through that too.
Yeah.
Yes, and. Cause it's
So
a
you
whole
do
nother.
know that you guys are in violation
nother
of
level
the,
of,
Yeah.
Work.
the police station getting the carpet because you didn't get the 3 bids that was required for the
Right.
Board of Works. There was only
Right.
2.
Police and fire, we
By
did all the
state law.
negotiations, but yeah,
There
we're
were
supposed to do
3 bids.
water, sewer and storm as well.
And the attorney's office should have known this by the $500,000 scandal that went on. You were supposed to get 3 bids. There was only 2. No comment by anyone, obviously.
I don't know if we are.
We see how this goes. The citizens of Sioux City deserve better. They need to know where their money is going. And not one of you have taken the time or the effort to go and, research any of this. I've already filed with the Department of Justice. 2026 has already started off wrong. Because you have misappropriated money by not getting the 3 bids.
Happy birthday.
I don't know what to think about this 0 though, John. John, I don't know what to think about.
You're not frozen, you're gonna take them.
From 0 to hero. Yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah, happy birthday to both of you.
Sorry, Jane. Are you gonna? Is that your birthday today?
Oh, no.
Okay.
Seven. Yeah, she's playing.
And the fact that the attorney's office didn't even, correct them and make sure that, they have 3 bids that were supposed to be taken.
I'll order the city council meeting for February 2nd, it's 2022. Okay. Dr. Keenan.
Present. Present.
Amy Curry.
Present.
Donna Peter.
Present.
Jeremy Van Herman.
Here.
Sydney Burnell. Treasurer Darcy Van Herman.
You forgot somebody.
From here.
Dave left. Also here. Sorry. I did. He's right there. Okay, now public comment for council.
Just for the fact that, the Board of Works had passed for the police department to get $6,800 and never, not one time did they ask for the third party. Supposedly that there was a third party contacted and no one reached out. By law, by Indiana law, there are to be 3 bids. There were only 2, and it was still passed. So I am filing with the Department of Justice a claim that, again, this board, this council is not following what they're supposed to be doing. The citizens of Alexandria, we just got a 40% increase on our utility, on our water, on our trash. And then you want to go and spend $6,800 on carpet when people are going to be puking and blood and everything else. Why couldn't there have been linoleum? Like, I just don't understand why this council and this board are not following the rules. You want to follow the rules by making sure that the sidewalks are done, but you can't follow the rules. And with the screw up of the $500,000 building that was done, do you realize that I got 406,000 views on that? Do you realize on the last meeting that I have over 11,000 views? People are listening. People are watching everything that I do. And for this board and this council to do the things that they're doing, I'm putting you on watch, all of you.
Did I get a chance to review the previous meeting's minutes?
Move to approve.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay. Warrant 19996 through 20080. $225,607.09.
I would like, I know we've had discussions before and, Chief Matson, is he still available, Chief? The fire non-revert. I know we've talked before, and as far as the numbers that you feel like you have versus what you're seeing, have you had a chance to, see your budget in order to go over these to see where we're at? Because that number continues to go in the negative. And I know we've had that conversation and where you feel you're at, but I just want to make sure that we're working together and that they're providing you the information you need. You've not received any information? Okay, thank you. And I do know in the last meeting that you said within the month or so you would get that. We need to have that information, especially on these that have, issues within the funds, taken care of. I know before when we didn't approve them, there was some type of reason that because of how it's set up, they could still be paid. So I don't know if we need to continue though to say that we do not approve those particular lines from the fire non-revert. Can you better explain? Remember the last time we went through that and we did not approve all of the fire non-revert. There were some that still, because of how it's set up.
Everything that's in here for fire non-revert is all contractual. There's no new spending It's all their normal operational spending.
Okay, so when you say contracted and back with Sarah's question, are there any reviews of these contracts, or maybe we'll get into that, when we get into the policy for internal control, because each month I see that balance grow further in the negative, as opposed to not doing so. And just because we have a contract with it, maybe we need to renegotiate or look into what contracts are necessary. I guess, number one, he needs to have his numbers. But I just don't feel like we can continue to approve this myself, the way that it is, but then again, we can say that we don't approve it and it still gets paid. So I guess I just am at a standstill on knowing what to do. Any advice? Sorry,
I mean, claims should not get paid if they're unapproved by council. And so I think that's the process, whether that's followed or not is a different question.
And I think at the last meeting, Joel did say with every claim, you know, there needs to be a contract and an appropriation. I know he said that 2 weeks ago. And so that is something to, if you can check off that there's a contract or some other agreement and there's an appropriation, then that's typically when the claim should be, that's when it's approved.
Would you like me to go through each one of them?
Well, I guess it wouldn't matter if I don't know what's going on with the contract side, and then the contract side is the board of work side. And I've said before, it's so
I
convoluted
believe
between
Chief
the
and I
two.
could answer you.
Well, if the money's not there though, I mean, you could have it, I could have a contract saying, I want someone to pay me all types of money, but until I have until I have those funds there, then I would think that you would need to sit down and renegotiate or look over that contract again. But that's just how I would do it in my personal life. And I'm trying to put that into how we would do it from this, as we're trying to learn. So if that would help solve this, then absolutely. But if,
Are you asking the question of if there's being money spent outside of what was approved in the budget?
The January funds report shows a negative balance, and then we're approving claims for that. A lot of claims fall under that negative balance fund. So can I ask a follow-up question that goes with yours? Is there a check that we got or revenue that come in after this report shows that there's money that's going to be there to clear the claims in the docket? Because I know when you run the report, you might get a check come in the day before, the day during, or the day after you run this report.
They get money in every day.
It's
Part of the
daily.
problem is we have not closed out 2025 yet. Because part of closing out 2025 is going to be taking expenditures that they did not have the money for and putting it and spending it into a different fund. And that's going to take an additional appropriation action by you all to close out the 2025 books. Not that far yet.
Right, but as far as the
In the
balance,
closing out of 25, that will take it to a zero balance, which will then clear up that negative.
excuse me, sorry.
and I guess my concern is each month, though, the negative balance grows. So even if there is new monies coming in, it
Well,
should,
yeah, the negative should be growing.
it shouldn't be growing,
Going
one,
away.
and
And
two,
climbing into the black, yeah.
where do where do you know, like I said at the last meeting, especially early on with having approved a budget and learning the different categories and trying as we are and what needs to be appropriated, et cetera. Where do you start if you don't have this? And I appreciate that answer from the 2025. But I just don't want it to get out of hand for 2026 and we're sitting here doing the same thing. So that's why I would prefer to ask these questions early on and get an idea of how we move forward.
Well, my question is too, you said they did not have the money for those things. But if they had a budget and they knew, wouldn't they know what they have, what you could spend?
They did have a budget. They
Is that-
overspent their budget. It has to come from other line items.
Did they have a budget?
I had no written budget past June, May, June, of where we were standing Like, I don't get the appropriation reports and stuff like you guys do, so.
Right.
I submit the purchase order request to the appropriate channels, and once it goes to the billing land, I don't have any access to it.
Maybe I'm making it too simple, but I would think, like we all do our checking books, we know what's in it, so we know what can be spent. So I think that would be helpful. I mean, if he doesn't have an idea, we can't really, no wonder it's going to negative. So I guess I'm asking you, like, what can we do differently for that, since you control the money?
It's gonna have to come out of a different fund.
But how do we stop what's been happening?
That the
I mean, we
spending
can
for,
put money in. And
yeah, the spending for the fire department is going to have to come from another fund. If you don't want it coming from fire, not a hurt. It's going to have to come from another fund.
Because of the contracts, am I correct?
Yes.
So do you know what contracts you have and how much they are?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so then, well, that's what we need to know. If we never have enough money in that fund, we need to do something different. Am I looking at that too simplistically?
I'm not sure how to articulate it for you in this meeting right now.
Okay.
Amy, your question still remains is can we pay for the claims that are out of that negative balance?
I would think that you would want to continue doing that. I know I wouldn't want to continue doing that. And we brought it up in the past, but I know we started with new monies. But can any of the department heads that are present tell us if you have the copy of your current budget or if you worked on a current budget? No,
Parks Department, Street Department, and then City Hall and the mayor, and planning and zoning are all done. Police and fire were the only two that I'm still working on.
So because they're utility, we're thinking something different.
Their budget looks different than what you're thinking.
Okay. But regardless, I think everyone needs to know how much they have to work with.
Yes.
Okay. And so I think that was my question. So maybe I asked it, are you aware of the funds that you have to work with to run your department
Day-to-day.
adequately throughout this year? I mean, okay, thank you. And that's where I feel like there's definitely a miscommunication there that
Utilities, until you're done with the work you're going to do with the rate increases, I have no ability to project forward to help them with that understanding. So I'm in a hold pattern to you all with that.
And I can agree with that to a point, but like when Baker Tilly met with us, Baker Tilly had ideas of what they wanted to do in the future or what it would take for this, that, and the other.
Yes.
So even that, like sitting down and going over, okay, here's what I have, here's what I don't have, here's what I need, here's what I want to plan for.
But we can't do that because we can't project forward until we know what revenue we will begin receiving with the rate increases. Until that is in place, we have no way to project forward, so we can put them on projected timelines to let them know when they will have the money for this project, for this improvement, for this manpower, for this equipment.
But they've been a process of that so that they know or have talked to Baker Tilly or have had that conversation so that the numbers that Baker Tilly was provided will represent that correctly for us to make our choice.
Depending on what you choose, depends on that next step.
I understand that.
Okay.
I understand that we're gonna have to make that next step as far as,
Waiting on that step. Once that
Sure.
step happens, then the next steps.
and
can
I'm not
happen.
gonna say that I'm not disappointed that it didn't happen earlier, and I'm sure you would agree with me. However, when Baker Tilly was here, we were trying to figure out, oh, well, they've included this or they haven't
Mhm.
included this or that. I guess my question is, did the department heads then, were they connected in this conversation? I just feel like they need to be brought in more so that, they're the ones that are busting their buns out there every day. And I know you appreciate them. I know all of us appreciate them so much. But they can only do so much. And if they don't know what they have to do with it, and if they don't have a seat at the table to be able to feel like they can openly discuss these things, then what good is it? So I feel like going forward, and I guess that's my question is, with that, did they have that? if not from now on, we need to include that, as well as allowing them to know what kind of monies they have to deal with for their day-to-day operation, but in order to plan forward as well. And I do understand we're in a tight position, a hard position right now, because we are waiting things that should have already been taken care of. So I do see that, but I guess I just want to reiterate, now's the time to look through these things, to do these things like we should, and to move forward in a positive way, because this isn't working for any of us. I think we can all agree with that. Yep. Anything to say? Okay, so I'll let someone else decide or make the recommendation, or what you want to do to move forward. You make. Well, my question, I don't feel like we should approve the fire, but if they're through a contract, it would be paid anyhow. That's my understanding. So until the contracts are reviewed and those type of things, our hands are tied.
Put a timeline on the review so we can start getting an order.
Yeah, you absolutely can do that, you know, put checkpoints out there so that this doesn't fall through the cracks and isn't something that continues to.
Would that be Board of Works that would do that, or is that us? I mean, like, where does that fall? Because again, it's murky for me.
Yeah, I mean,
Contract.
contracts for sure, that's something the Board of Works would look at, but I mean, you guys can also have the discussion because the claims will ultimately get presented to you, so.
The council could recommend that Board of Works request all contracts. Because we may or may not have them. But we'd have to request anything we're currently paying, everything we're currently paying, it's contractual. We need to see contract.
So is it a reasonable time frame? Because I don't really know how this works, to say by the end of the month?
I don't know, because we would then have to refer those requests
By
to
the first meeting of
March.
March.
If there's copies of them. I can't guarantee I can't guarantee some of this stuff, like, we may not have copies of it.
How are we paying them then? If we don't have copies of it?
I struggle with getting copies of things. Since we've been in office, I have copies of things, but prior to us being in office, there are a lot of records still missing that I am building back on.
So let me
And a
ask
lot
you,
of these contracts go prior to us all.
so you know what you're paying, and you get those contracts.
I had them for this. That's why I was like, what do you want to talk about? Because I pulled all the contracts for this. So yes, as just like Jewel has instructed, that's part of the process now when we're putting the docket together.
Okay. So,
But to say every contract forensically, I can't answer that. I would have every one of them by
Let's start
March.
with fire non-refer. How about that?
Yeah, since it's in the hole, let's do that.
All right.
We get them, and
And then we'll
maybe by
work
the
from
next
there.
meeting in March, the first meeting in March,
So fire non-revert by March.
is that timeframe appropriate?
I really can't answer that. I can report back if it's not. Hopefully it is. How's that?
Okay. If you could report back before the meeting, so we kind of know, so we don't put you on the spot, if that's what you couldn't find or whatever.
It may be helpful too to have for council's recollection that what was approved for that fund's budget or what for fire's budget and what was also appropriated.
It's appropriated. You can pay it, but
The
if it's at a negative
appropriations,
balance.
right, so the
Right, if we're going
appropriations
over
are
what we
there.
appropriate for it, then
Is
that
that the
involves a
book
great
you're
discussion.
referring to? So we
Yes,
should
yes,
all have.
yes. That's the book.
That would show,
Yeah.
I went looking after last time, okay.
Yeah.
So I'm sorry, I didn't mean to.
That's all good. And that could be a good starting place for the department heads to at least know what council approved as a budget.
Yes, and then when we dig in and start for the next year, which hopefully will be sooner than later, I think it's very important that the department heads have their essay so, and just know that I'm sure President
Or-
Easier.
We'll keep that and be reaching out to start making those recommendations.
I don't know if we can do a contingent. And on claims.
No.
You can't table it.
You can approve it and you've done it in the past where you've approved certain warrants through a certain number.
The others.
So you can, yeah, you don't have,
Now we're every 2 weeks. It's not like they go 30 days, so we can,
yeah, so it's not an all or nothing. You
catch
can
those
pick
up.
which warrants you want to approve at this point.
we could say all except fire non-revert.
Yeah, exactly.
That'd be an easier way to verbalize the
Yep.
approval. Sorry, point of order real quick. We're all okay with a public meeting, but commentary that distracts the business
I'm
isn't
directly to
productive.
I'm directly to my phone.
I understand,
I'm not
and you have the right to be here, but if it's distracting, to the point we can't get business done, I just want you aware. We
That's
can have all the commentary we want after the meeting,
That's
and we
fine.
can all
I
be
can
happy and
comment it.
mad, so
I can.
I just want to
commentary
clarify that.
While this is happening.
I would
I'm going
ask
directly to my
that
phone.
commentary is
I'm
not
directly
held
to my phone.
until after the meeting.
I-
Thank
We're
you.
allowed to publicly record,
Yeah.
that's perfectly allowed. But
And I can
anything
talk
that
to my phone.
Excuse me, I'm talking.
I don't care.
Anything that becomes a distraction to the meeting, we're allowed to ask to stop or to be removed.
No, you can't.
Yes, we
No,
can.
you
So
can't.
you're
Statute
allowed to
carves out
record.
for disruptive behavior and it's
Ma'am,
disruptive.
I am
So
talking
reply-
directly to my phone and I'm whispering to my phone. So
If
I'm sitting right
Even
here.
if you're talking to your chair, if it interferes with what we're doing, you can't do it. Yeah, so
I'm whispering.
write it down
I'm
and
whispering
talk to it
I'm
after the
talking to
meeting.
my phone.
Can we let the record reflect that
Oh,
Ms.
what do you
Summers has
do?
been
Yeah.
noted? I'm all for the public having the ability, but you gotta sit here and listen.
Yep. Cannot speak out of turn.
Thank you. Okay, sorry, back to the motion.
Is that the motion you wanted to make?
I'll make a motion to approve the claims, without, or exempting fire non-revert until we can clear up that maybe by the next meeting, we can get those items cleared for payment, but for this meeting, we'll need to hold off on fire non-reverts. Is that, quick question, Director to Chief, do you know if you have any claims right now that's gonna put anything in jeopardy for any kind of service that you have? You probably don't know right now, do you?
I believe this comes out as an Amherst payment.
Yep.
So that's kind of a big deal. And then the station generator payment, I believe, is in this claim cycle, which runs the Bob Rogers Center and the fire
Those were
department.
previously financed ones.
Those contracts have been in place for years.
Yeah, because that's what previous line.
So the generator is up, it's a PM service,
Mhm.
but it also had some issues that needed fixed.
Sure.
So
Which
those
would have been
went
part of
through at the tune of $8,000 roughly,
Mhm.
to get it back operational, because that took out, it was going to potentially could affect not only the fire station, but Bob Rogers Center, which was the warming center. So that is in this claim cycle, the ambulance payments in the claim cycle. I can't speak to everything that's in
I
it
understand.
off the top of my head, I'm
Those
sorry,
are two big
but
ones.
those are two huge
Yeah.
ones.
And part of that was pulled from the Bob Rogers.
Yes, the
Half of
generator
that,
split
okay.
because it does both buildings.
Okay.
So part of that's out of the fire department budget, part of it's out of the Bob Rogers Center budget. But as for the ambulance payment, I mean, that's a low payment. And then I can't speak to everything that's in there. I don't have them in front of me.
Was the fire non-revert negative last time we approved it? Well, since we're gonna work on it, I suggest we go ahead and approve it. That's pretty important stuff, and then if it's negative the next time, well, we can't find a fix, then we won't.
And for,
We don't want anything to,
This
any
has
payment,
been-
we don't want any
this has
payments
been
not to stop
appropriated,
that we
correct?
need, that we have to pay.
Yeah, those contracts.
I don't have the 2026 budget, so I can't answer this, but this is appropriated for 26,
Mhm.
correct?
It is.
Yes, so the cleanup in the.
Everything's
in your-
appropriated, it's
In the
just-
documents, the cleanup, I can't answer that.
Right.
I'm not gonna speak to it, but I understand this is appropriated in, January to the end of March. It's an expensive for the fire department, because that's whenever all of our service contracts, preventive maintenance contracts, those all come due January through.
Yeah, they all
Basically,
typically
Are
renew.
they supposed to come out of your non-revert service contracts
If it's related to EMS, yes.
Okay.
I can't speak to,
to generate?
that's in the ordinance. That's in the EMS billing ordinance and the non-revert ordinance of XYZ, what comes out of there and what doesn't, but pretty much everything that you've got right now, that is out of my non-revert budget. And it was requested in my budget that I submitted to this council in the clerk's office for 2026, so whether it's there or not, I can't speak to that.
Once a motion's on the floor, we can modify it as needed. So, I mean, I just thrown it out there. We can modify the motion, right?
Yeah.
For Robert's rules, however we need to. and then-
Yeah.
Yep, you can modify it.
Or we can just pass it whole. I mean, it's up for discussion.
Yeah, that, isn't the motion would die at that point, or do they need to make any sort of action? So.
Well, if there's no second.
If there's no second, it'll die.
Perfect.
A motion. Is that a motion?
Yeah, I make a motion, we go ahead and pay it all here and then if it's negative again, no. So the next.
Sort it out next week.
Sort it out. We need to get on it. We can't just let it, leave here and then there it is, and then we're back here, like Amy says, doing it all over again. That's gonna happen.
Yeah.
Is that something you could bring with you next time so we know which ones are coming out and
It's
Things
in a claim cycle. All those bills with those.
from now till March is what I mean, those big ones. Will that be coming out all each month? January, February, March for those?
Yes, ma'am.
And then what happens after March?
Most of my preventative maintenance contracts and big expenditures for that type of stuff is done. And then it's going to just be general maintenance,
Okay,
anything big that comes up, oil changes, things of that nature. I mean, those,
being renewed or anything like that.
most of these are multi-year
Okay.
prior to even me becoming chief. We're under I'd have to pull them to tell you exactly how long they last. Some are 4 years, some are 5. The ambulance, I think it was a 6. And this is the last payment for that one. But we do have new ones on order, and that will be coming to effect later this year.
Thanks for helping me understand. Okay.
Well, we have a fire truck payment coming up, but off the top of my head, I don't know when it is. I believe it's in the summer.
Okay, so John, you made that motion?
Yeah, make a motion to pass it as is. Yeah. Get to work on it quickly, not let it fester. And then if it's negative next time, no. That's my motion. No, that's the right way to say it.
I
you
don't
know.
love it.
That-
It would move to approve and then state the warrants. And then, you can say with plans to reassess at the next meeting.
All right, here we go. Motion to approve warrant 1996 through 20080. With a claim to
Reassess.
recess. Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm not president material, but that's okay.
Oh, you did say reassess.
Reassess at the next meeting.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I just.
Second.
Sounds like it.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Hi.
Bye.
Right, pass it. Okay. January 18th. about $167,961.24.
Make a motion to approve.
Sorry, could you go back to the claims? What was the vote for that?
We'll do.
For five,
Did
two.
someone abstain or?
Absent.
Okay, sorry, I just don't think I heard
4-2.
everybody's vote, but, okay. Dave, were you in favor?
Yes, you are.
Okay, he was, okay.
Right. Did we get a motion?
I did.
Donna and Dave.
All right, all in favor?
I have a question.
Oh, sorry, go ahead,
Sorry for the,
for payroll.
in looking this over too, and I'm not even sure how to. Right before I came in, I was trying to. By reading, I'm not sure if I should bring this up here or by the control, because reading through this control thing, there's so much and so many questions here. But when you look at the budget that was approved, and we look at the information, and I asked it in the last meeting, because it was split between the years. There are several that were paid partially out of the park previously. And that was in this budget to do so.
Not for 26. Only one person is got part of their salary coming out of the Parks Department. All the rest of the money for salaries in Parks Department is waiting for the summer school.
Okay, because if I add like the first employees up, it showed 55% based on this handout, for instance. And it showed general was 55, water, sewage reached 20, and park was 5.
I think that's the wrong year. That's last year.
These are comparison 2025, 2026.
Park shouldn't be down there.
Okay, that's what was in here. So,
That spreadsheet was not part of the draft. That draft came out of Gateway. That spreadsheet is an internal spreadsheet.
okay, so this is what we're to follow. Okay, so if this says. I'm trying to learn and I appreciate you answering questions and
And you can make time with me in my office. I would be glad to work with you outside of called meetings to help you.
And I appreciate that. I just hope that everyone else, because I feel like not
But that's-
everyone has questions all the time, and I don't know if it's because they too don't understand and don't feel
But that's
comfortable.
my job. That's part of my job is to hang out with everybody and help them understand. That's part of being on the team. We gotta all know, we know, because we do what we do.
Sure. Do you guys prefer that I not ask during the meeting then? Do you have anything? I mean, I didn't know if it's helpful for everyone or not. I'm okay with it. Just curious on that. And so what I'm curious on, then the first page, here we go. Oops, thanks. That particular employee, for instance, just the one, it shows 23,631 is published. And under here, the internal one, it's 2630.03, which would be the same under general. So 55% of the pay is what is also in here, even though it's internal.
I know, and I'm looking at that just from here.
Uh-huh.
I don't think you're looking at the most up to date. Nope, not the draft, the spreadsheet.
Okay.
That's not the final spreadsheet that went with that when you approved the budget. I don't think that's the most up to date spreadsheet. So you're looking at an outdated spreadsheet to the budget that you passed.
Is this the correct budget though?
That is the correct budget, but the spreadsheet that you're using for comparison is not the proper diagnostic.
The amount published matches the general.
I can already tell you because of what you pointed to from here, that's not,
Okay.
you're not
we'll
looking
talk
at them.
further.
Yes.
We'll
thank
talk
you.
further because I'll
Thank you.
need further, but
Yeah.
and if
We
anyone.
need to make sure
I know-
you've got the right tools going together.
Sure, no, and I want to move forward. And I know with quorum, we have to divide it up, how many of us can do that, but if anyone would like to join me, then we can get together and try to look at that. So I guess being told what I'm told that this is correct, then I'll second your motion, but because the monies would be in there. So if we would ever need to appropriate, it wouldn't be until these run out. And so we can cross that bridge at that time and I can learn that.
Once I get everything finished with the annual report and I roll over to 26, then you'll get the appropriation report too, that 42-page report with all the appropriation lines, so you can see what's in them too.
Okay,
But right now, everything would show overdrawn because we got 25 and 26 not divided off yet.
Oh,
It's just how the software runs. I wish we had a more concise way of doing it at this time of year until we do the annual report. It's always a little wonky.
and is that software something else maybe we should look into when we're looking at the other software? Is that?
So when the software that I've looked at and my teams have also looked at, yes, it clears up a lot of this.
Okay.
And it's cloud-based to boot. So it's really nice.
So when Board of Works is looking into that, perhaps look into the contractor.
It'll get presented once they have recommendations. I think they'll bring it to us.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Got a first and second, all in favor,
Aye.
all opposed? Okay, pension for January 26th. January 2026. We now have $19,083.16.
I'll make a motion to approve.
All in favor, all opposed? Okay. I wanted to announce a couple of appointments. Mr. Eric Freeman has agreed to take on the position of park superintendent for the big price of nothing for 6 months.
For the low price.
So making that appointment today. And also, I need to reappoint one of my park board members, which is Sam Driftwood. Thank you.
Sure. Any introduction?
Did introduce me. Would you like
I
to
was
stand up
looking
and
for
say anything?
Sam when you said
Oh,
thank you.
Sam's not here.
I was thinking.
I don't believe Sam's here.
No.
Are there any outstanding council appointments that still need made? Are there any outstanding council appointments for any of your committees that still the council needs to make? I don't know if this is the right place for that, but
We can email you.
I didn't know if we need to do anything to help those get filled, so.
We'll email you all the appointments that need to be made.
Okay.
Okay, old business discussion of proposed internal control.
Yes, I can talk a little bit about it. So I know last time we gave this long document to you all, and so I just want to be clear that this is not the first reading. We have not put it in ordinance. I believe last time the council said they would like it to be in the form of an ordinance. As Jewel said, it could be an ordinance or a resolution. And this is as it stands right now, this is the standard policy that the State Board of Accounts provides. So it's not tailored to Alexandria, and that's where we're going to rely on your comments and concerns to try to tailor anything that doesn't apply. I know I heard earlier that it mentions a city judge, and you don't have a city judge here in Alexandria, so stuff like that we'll take out because it is obviously inapplicable. But today, what my plan is as you talk, and you can always email me too. You don't have to bring it up now, but as you bring up and discuss, I will take notes, and then at the next meeting, we plan to have a draft ordinance prepared. If there's any changes, if you guys want to instead do a resolution, but as we said, an ordinance will go on your books, easily accessible to everyone, and so it's the more apparent route to go down if you do an ordinance versus a resolution. So I will take notes, any inconsistencies, things that you want to flag, discuss, we will incorporate it into the draft, and the next meeting we can do the first reading if you all feel prepared to do that next meeting.
You want us to email that some questions, just email them to you guys.
Yeah, and you also can let me know now, but if you have anything between now and then, feel free to send me and Jewel an email.
I know Wendy couldn't be here, but I spoke with her and she had some questions as well. She wanted me to ask this evening, but if it's best to email them and CC her on that, then I'm whatever to do.
Whatever you want to do. I don't want to stifle discussion. So feel free to raise anything now.
I will say, and I don't know where they would fit in and what have you, but just kind of a few things with the actions that have taken place throughout the city in the last couple of weeks with the snow and those type of things. People's questions, mine just thinking to myself, do most cities, or do we even have like an inventory list? Does each of the department, or would that be something that they list what equipment they have and where it's shared amongst the different departments so that we're aware of what we have, what we should be planning for, those type of things within these policies. Because I know we've talked in every year when we get around to salary ordinance, of course, we're so grateful and we are thankful for everything that all of the city employees do. But I've asked from year to year, like, do you think it would be more beneficial to add an additional employee to X fleet as opposed to salary, raises, those type of things? And again, I just want to drive these things home as we prepare for this upcoming year, because I can't imagine the amount of overtime that those poor guys had to put in. I mean, this may be a once in who knows how long, but I appreciate everyone, every aspect working on those. How many plows do we have? The ATVs that we have, what department are those under? Do they have plows on the front of them? Could we see about just maybe purchasing a small plow for some of the ATVs that could be cross-used? But the reason I bring it up with this is because the internal controls, and it talks about, an insurance committee. When I think insurance committee, I think health insurance right away, but we have 6 or 7 different insurances. And then by having the inventory list, to make sure that everything is insured and nothing drops off there. So just things like that I don't know if they would fall under this or if it's a different.
Yeah, what I would say about an inventory list, it might not be appropriate to incorporate it in this policy and have it written and codified, just because inventory will change over
Sure,
time.
sure.
But that doesn't mean that you can't have a separate inventory list or work with department heads and say, it would be really helpful to know what you're in charge of, what you have, and then that can kind of be a separate tracking mechanism. I just think to put it on the books, that would probably grow outdated rather quickly. But like I said, that's something you could pursue separately, so that you could reassess needs and how far we're stretching inventory and things like that.
And like I say, just one thing pops up and again, that's why I have questions sometimes that I won't know ahead of time. I think you know that by now with me.
I just want to make you a chair and let's go. It's the Amy and Darcy chair.
There we go. I had that, Wendy had a question under Principle 10A3. It says management of human resources. Management continually assesses human resources needed for a workforce as required knowledge, skills, and ability to achieve organizational skills, etc. Her question is, who is this given our current city structure? Because each, if we're a level 3 town or you're this or that, can you answer with our particular city structure? Is that something that?
I think that might be a Darcy or mayor question. I'm not sure off the top of my head. I will say the way that it's defined is that management encompasses the bodies at the very top. And so it says, and this is where we'll strike city judge, but it says the mayor, clerk, treasurer, and department heads are considered management under this policy. But in terms of how it functions right now, I don't know that I have the answer to that.
We have an interesting dynamic with that. Not everything that's personnel related lives in my office. Some of it lives in the mayor's office, depending on what the personnel item is. So we're kind of a strange city in that we share HR.
Okay.
Depending on what the specific dynamic is. So like Miss Sydney said, with that management component, with the mayor, clerk, treasurer, and department heads. That's why you see that repeated quite a bit in our ordinance format through the years. You see that in our salary ordinance that who's defined as a department head, right? That we worked on last year. And it's in a couple other places as well. So this is going to repeat that where the mayor and the clerk treasurer's office is going to have a dual hat in that with our city, unless the administrations in the future change it up. But historically, prior to us, when we came in, we found that some things he had under his bailiwick and some things I had under most of mine's payroll and insurance. Anything else is really with him.
Okay,
I think the general provisions in our current ordinance spell some of that out right now, but we'd have to go back and see what the
Mhm.
current general provision outlines between the mayor and the clerk treasurer and then council for HR duties and.
And
so
that's,
forth.
that's something I
Right.
could do in the next 2 weeks for when we come back and do the first reading. If you want, have some sort of document that says under your ordinances as they stand, this is what we've assigned to mayor, clerk treasurer, and council. That would be
that would be
helpful.
amazing,
Yeah.
because
And
we
that
don't
was
want,
one of the things I noticed in that specific draft provided you all. It explains the employees as the council's employees, but with us having a board of works, I question the validity of that.
Sure.
So there's all these, like, I just threw one little thing at Miss Sydney about it today, but then I have all, depending on what this ordinance looked like, I have
several questions.
I have yellow questions, orange questions, and pink questions, depending on which way some of these specific principles go with you all. So that there is so much meat and potatoes on that 13 pages that is going to give our city an amazing structure that it has never, in the 28 years I have run around here, we have never had this structure. And this is where I do nerd out because I love governance and I love order. And that is going to give us that really for the first time that I've ever experienced here. I'm very excited about it.
As I think all of us should be, because we don't want anything missing through the cracks. I know with the change in your administrative assistants and what have you there, making sure that everybody knows which role, even from day to day, was covered by the two, and then you had two brand new ones and those type of things. A lot of change with building commissioners, those things. So we don't want those things to fall through the crack where someone thinks the other person's doing it and so on and so forth. And we keep running into that. And then on the receipting activities, it would be nice if we go through this and have the budgets and what have you, to also have a list of all the revenue streams and where to find what they're recorded in there. Because I know, for instance, building permits go under general fund. But is there a way that we can
There's a
see,
specific category within the general fund, yes.
then for us to know how much of that or what of that actually goes towards paying, because he's been, with the hail damage and all of those things, works tremendously towards doing that. And he's doing a great job of making sure all of these things are, I's are dotted and T's are crossed. And I appreciate that. He could probably use some help, and I'm sure he gets some, but if he needs the additional help, where is that going to come from? And I know that he's making money from the building permit. So is that put back into his department? Where is that used? So just with the receiving activities and those things, there's probably something like, traffic tickets, ordinance violations, building permits, building rentals, just things that went through my mind. And I'm sure there's so many more that we don't even know about. So it would be great to have like a compiled list, just to know.
Like I said,
Here's our
your
different streams.
appropriation report is 42 pages. Your revenue report, when you were getting them, was a 19 page. There's 19 pages of specific, kind of like there's an appropriation number, there's revenue numbers.
Perfect, because that'll help try to put things in place with that along with this, so that we want our employees to be, taken care of in those type of things, get what they need. But at the same time, our citizens deserve to be able to have nice things and do things with their monies as well. So just trying to move forward with where we can plug and these numbers, what, I'm still learning what can be and can't be used for each of those, and it sounds to me like the department head, will also, feel better or, be more knowledgeable when they're more knowledgeable or given that information to be able to run and have their, independence per se, but yet have the structure so that they know what they need to report, because there's a lot of things in here that's gonna fall on the department heads. That I'm sure that the department heads haven't had before, and, a lot more oversight by that, so, yeah, that would be helpful once we move forward with all of those. I think I keep repeating the same thing about moving forward with all this, so I will, get this questions about that.
Sounds good, yeah. And I will say too, if there's anything under there that you think management makes it sort of vague, you think that it would be better if it just said department head, that's some language, that's city specific. That's why State Board of Accounts keeps it general and says management so that, all municipalities can kind of tailor it to how they function. And so here, if you were saying, oh, I really think the department heads, should be in charge of this, we can strike the word management and put department head specifically. That way you have some more clear guidance. I mean, these are supposed to be procedures that you're consistently following, and anything to make it more clear cut. We're happy to do that. Those are the sorts of changes we'll welcome, so.
Well, and I will say, one of the things that I feel is common, even when we change everyone in these seats, is we've had good department heads, or the department heads have really, really worked with the city towards, trying to make these things happen, and they've been around longer than a lot of us. So they have a lot of information, a lot of knowledge that I think could be beneficial with putting structures together too, and we need to take advantage of that.
And then the flip side of that, keeping it as general as management then allows, each administration to kind of figure out who is the best fit for it. So I mean, there's pros and cons to weigh here when it comes to the language.
But it's being able to, actually invite the department has to have a place to table with these things, I think is important.
Yeah, absolutely. That's how it's set up.
Great, I appreciate it. And it does look like it was right on, track with the State Board of Account and those type of things when you research. So I appreciate you guys putting that together for us.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Oh, email.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good. So I mean, we can prepare this in an ordinance format with your thoughts and concerns, and then, this can be a continued discussion through the first reading at the next meeting. So, it's good to have a continuous discussion, but also these need to be implemented sooner rather than later. So we don't want to discuss for so long and then it's just not enacted. So.
You decide where it points back if our general provisions might have to change. When we adopt this, if it's got to change that ordinance, or the general provisions, we'll just adopt this to replace that. If you can help just clarify that as we move forward, that'd be helpful.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Thank you.
Moving on to new business. Ordinance to amend rates and changes, solid waste collection and disposal.
So I can give a little bit of an introduction. And that is that these were prepared. This is your first reading. The public hearing is scheduled for the next meeting in 2 weeks. And at that point, you can adopt it because we've had 2 hearings or 2 readings of it at that point. These numbers were prepared based on our meetings with Baker Tilly and with mayor's guidance. And so, as I think we've gone over with you all in the past, but I want to reiterate, you can adopt rates that are lower than what you have there. These are just what have been advertised. You just cannot adopt any higher rates without going through a whole new public hearing procedure. So, but the rates that have been advanced this evening are what Baker Tilly feels are appropriate and necessary to kind of get the utility moving forward and out of the position that it had in now. So, I just wanted to give that disclaimer for you all and kind of how they were drafted, but
That applies to pretty much all 4.
yeah, it does. So we should introduce each one by one because they are separate ordinances. You could, choose in theory to adopt one and not the other. They're not a package deal, so they're each considered individually. But they were all prepared consistently.
Yeah.
Is it one of
Here's
the
it.
summaries? Go ahead.
And you, do you have this newer summary?
I left them all on my desk.
This is what you're looking for, a newer, okay.
Yeah, this is just the first reading. We'll just introduce it.
You have the one that looks- oh, it's, sorry, it's the same, that was a little bit-
Is it on the back?
Take a picture.
Just served by the suite.
That's the one. Put together.
One is to amend rates and charges, stormwater utility. One is to amend rates and charges, water utility and.
Sanitation, solid waste. Solid waste is the first one.
Oh, they're on the back of the, I knew I saw them now. They're on the back of the
Look at
ordinance.
these ordinances, look at, tell her. These are more my favorite things. She can lose.
Can we do these by title only or?
Yeah, so Mayor just read that, so if there's any discussion that you want to have this evening, this would be the time to do it. But I understand you might have more discussion after the public hearing, so you'll have another chance to discuss at the next meeting.
Pretty much an introductory.
I think that has, yep.
And I know I did have a constituent reach out with questions that I did submit via email, and I appreciate the responses. And I know that you had some information that you could provide as well, as far as, the actual usage, those type of questions.
Hopefully. maybe,
And,
if not, Defer to the professionals.
Okay, and then the 4,000 based on 4,000 and not the 3,000.
Yeah.
Just to pass along what the constituents were asking me. And so that was kind of like the responses that I did get, that we could, receive more of that information. And with it being service readiness, but they were saying it then, it's kind of standard. Is that what I understand is pretty standard practice throughout?
Every community picks whether they're gonna build for 3,000, for 4,000, for 5,000, and we've historically built.
We've seen it 3, I'm not sure.
A lot of communities will do 4,000. It just depends on every community in Indiana can pick, they can do 3,500. Depends on how their meters read too. It's our meters
We
reading
thought
per
of
100.
asking Caldwell that today. I should have asked him that. We were briefing on a bunch of stuff. I'm just,
And
I didn't even think about it.
We stayed at 3,000 to my recollection.
No,
So that.
And I like being a four because,
I do
because
too.
at 3, anything over 3 costs you extra. So we're raising the rates. Nobody here wants to raise rates. I mean, but costs have went up in the last 16 years, so since they've been raised. So
But 4,000 minimum gives you actually
4,000
more
gives you another 1,000 gallons before you start getting charged.
getting into overages.
And I don't remember, I got to tell everybody this, but when I ran a diagnostic on all of the books and the utility customers, by raising that from 3,000 to 4,000, we're capturing like right at 76% of our utility customer will have a minimum bill. So, whereas that percentage was not even 40% with 3,000. So
That's gonna be my
Yeah, that, I had no clue I was gonna learn that day when I was after one set of data and then I got looking and I saw this other set of data and I was like, oh my gosh, that to me was a bright spot in having to go through this.
So a majority of them are above that 3,000 threshold.
Yes.
Already. So,
Right,
okay.
but not above 4,000. So there is there's this sweet spot that has captured.
You have a question?
I'm sure there'll be plenty later.
That was just, yeah, a couple that I.
All right. I just want to thank our street department for the wonderful job they did. Not only the street department, but water and wastewater helped along with it. And police and fire. Did what they had to do, so I appreciate all of them.
Somebody was snow blowing. Was it a rookie? Fireman out snow blowing. Wasn't even near the fire department. It was across the street. He's blowing snow.
That's a parking spot for them.
We're trying to help out.
I mean,
A
police,
parking spot on the sidewalk? What are they parking on the sidewalk?
No, that's Mary's building, but for the dumpster, trash truck couldn't get to
It
it.
was
too.
over by
He's
the
doing
big
the
White
whole thing.
House.
I'm sorry.
It was over by the big White House across from the Bob Rogers. It wasn't even on the side of the fire department.
Oh, one of our employees lives there, so they may have they may have been out in a sweatshirt or something, but that's all right.
I just shook my head, some rookie.
I
You
can't.
can't go to a meeting if you're. But they're already on the mayor of New York's butt, because they can't even walk down the sidewalk. He's all talking to Tom, but he can't do the sidewalk. Just little input on that. Thanks. Yeah, I got something. Yeah, happy birthday to Donna and Amy. Amy, happy birthday, Donna. Yeah. Bravo, did you guys see your shot of it? Yeah, did you? Yeah, and also, I'm the trustee at the Elks, and I always saying it's a very unappreciated job, but I think everybody on this dais here is doing a great job. You know, we're gonna have people who don't like it or think you ought to quit right away, and, you know, everybody should turn in resignations, you hear all that, but it's a thankless job. I think everybody's doing a great job. All right, and I think we're going to a good point. We're starting to turn around, make things happen. So I appreciate you as your president. So I'm just gonna say that way you don't put too many things on my back. I delegate. So,
Thank you, Mr. President.
yeah, but thanks for everybody for what you're doing. Amy, but yeah, we all put in a lot of time. We're gonna read all this stuff and go through all this stuff. And, yeah, we appreciate everything. Oh, yeah.
next meeting will be February 17th at 5:45. Have to motion to adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
All departments have to come to meetings.
Our presence has been requested.
Your head's gonna.
I can feel it. I got enough hair if I can feel it.
Poke your head right on that corner. They were asking, because you work like park superintendent, what is the forest maintenance now? Is it maintenance, who knows, whatever.
I had
Department.
spoken with Mayor Naser Road about, probably last spring or summer, about taking that position, but they weren't going to pay anymore.